What's going on, YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with some breaking news regarding The Division 2. So sit back, relax, grab that popcorn, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think in the comments section below. But we do have patch notes, and man, is this going to change the game forever. Now, all of this information and more is on my Twitter page, X if you nasty. Follow me over here at Kamikazevondoom for all of the Division news, whether it be about the games, the movie, series, whatever it is. It will be shared on this page. So get all the information before I make a YouTube video. But this was posted about an hour ago, and this is from the developers, and it says, the TU20 PTS Phase 1 is now live, and we are looking forward to hearing your feedback. It is so many patch notes that they had to put them up in PvP and PvE. So what I'm going to do is we'll do PvE first, because I know a lot of you are more PvE centric. There we go. PvE patch notes. Here we go. Now, it's going to be quite a bit. All right. So it says, please note that these proposed changes are not final, and we may decide not to implement some of them in the game, based off of your feedback. This will not include any new weapons, gear, or talents. It will not include any global events, some inventory quality life updates, and the tinkering menu. None of these are in today's PTS. Now, scrolling down, quality of life updates. So it says that they have scaling open world loot crates in the open world. So remember that a lot of people, whenever they have their global difficulty setting on heroic, they would get a lot of purples to drop from those loot crates. And all of that apparently has been changed. So we will test some of that out during this PTS. Pretty cool. I think this was a well-needed change, and remember that it is changing for challenging and heroic difficulties, so whether you have your open world on challenging or heroic, you should see a pretty big change. Next, they have capped the Shade Watch level's HP bonuses. So now, if you are over Shade level 2000, you are not going to have any other advantages over any other players. Whether it be PvE or PvP, everything past Shade level 2000 is going to be the exact same. For inventory changes, it says they have added the new menu called Tinkering, which, hold on, didn't they just say this PTS build will not include the Tinkering menu? And yet, it says right here, they have added the menu called Tinkering. Whatever. We'll skip that because they said it's not in the game. Next up, armor kits have changed. Yes, we now have a instant use armor kit that will replenish 25% of your armor with a 5-second cooldown. However, if you hold the armor kit button, you'll get 100% of your armor. So it's going to be situational dependent. Gear combat lock. While in combat, players will no longer be available to swap individual gear pieces or loadouts. While in combat. And this is PvE, right? Isn't this PvE? So even in... Is this... Wow, dude. So even in PvE, you won't be able to. That's sick. That is sick. All right, let me scroll back down. I just lost my place. There we go. Okay, so after the gear combat lock, now we're going on to expertise. Now it says our intention is to prioritize the player's time by implementing this change. Yeah, okay. This basically screwed over every veteran player, but it helped out every single other player in the game. I mean, unless you're a veteran who's already expertise 24, this is a great change for everyone. Sadly, if you are already 24, then you kind of just wasted a lot of your time in life because they just dramatically cut everything down by at least 70%. I mean, just looking at the exotic materials, you only need 42 materials to do 13 levels, where it used to be 20 per level. So 42, that's a big change. Moving on to projects, it says that we are investigating some changes and additions to completion conditions and rewards to make projects more interesting and worthwhile. Again, these are just projects, so a lot of these we will not be able to test out in the PTS because the PTS is only 3 days long. Daily projects have been changed. Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, okay. So it says seasonal pass daily project. So now we are getting a brand new daily seasonal project change. And this will equivalent to 1 level up. It'll give you 1 level guaranteed. It will give you an optimization cache. It will give you a black tusk challenging bounty, a crafting blueprint, equipment item, and shade calibration point. All for doing a daily project. Nice. And they added all these new daily missions to that project. Okay. Other daily projects. More rewards have been added to make these projects more appealing. Nice. So they're just adding more rewards to all of these projects. Nice. I'm digging this. Dark Zone and Conflict. And these are their projects. Oh, hold on. So it says rewards change. Conflict XP if conflict project 2 times. Okay, so we get double the equipment drops. We also get a weapon drop. We get more XP. And now we get crafting materials and a shade calibration. Nice. Okay. Nice. That's quite a bit. I want to see if but again, the PTS is only for a couple days. So I'm not sure if we'll even have enough time to test out conflict. All right, weekly projects, what did they add to it? They added a named item cache and a weapon crafting cache to it. They changed the XP to give you more XP, and now they have given you a heroic bounty for all factions. Nice. Weekly legendary missions. So for all of you that do your weekly legendary projects, instead of just giving you an exotic cache, now it's going to give you an optimization cache, a recalibration cache, and a gear crafting cache. That's a huge change to the legendary community. Shade requisition weekly cache. Now remember, this is for that exotic. Remember, all you have to do is donate those materials. Now it says they have changed it to where it will give you an automatic 1 level, and it now will give you a named item cache on top of the exotic cache, and it also gives you a named item. Wow. Interesting. Weekly Dark Zone and Conflict projects will now give you 2 named item caches, and it will now give you 2 equipment items. Weekly Summit projects will now give you a recalibration cache. It will give you more XP and an extra named item cache. So a lot of changes. Oh man, speaking of changes, eesh. Dude, these patch notes are crazy. All right. Dude, I hope you guys are sitting down. There's so many patch notes we have to go through today. All right, so for exotic weapons, all exotic weapons can now be reconfigured for that 3rd attribute, but it only says the weapons. So no exotic gear items or any of that, just the weapons. So all of the exotic weapons can now be reconfigured to change that bottom attribute. So we'll do that for, the Eagle Bearer, the Chatterbox, the Bullet King, the Nemesis, things like that. But look at all these changes. Oh my gosh, look, this is going to change the game forever. Okay. So they changed the ACR to have 10% more weapon damage. They changed the CTAR and the rail splitter to give you 10 more mag size. For the F2000 and the shield splinterer, you're going to get more RPM and mag size. For everyone that uses the FAL, you're going to get 5% more weapon damage. Military G36 and the Born Great is going to get plus 50 RPM. The Honey Badger and Savage Wolverine will get plus 5 mag size. MK16 plus 10% weapon damage. And last for the assault rifles, the military P416, Glory Days, and Eagle Bearer are all getting a plus 50 RPM. Ooh, that's nice. All right, going down to the SMGs. Submachine guns, your AUG is going to get a plus 10% weapon damage and plus 25 RPM. The Banshee Grudge, hold on, this one's grayed out, so I'm not going to read that one yet. Or, hold on, yeah, that one's grayed out. But it says the Banshee Grudge plus 50 RPM plus 5 weapon damage. With it being grayed out and starred out like this, let's assume it's probably not in the game. They did say they are missing a few things for this update. MP5 and the Cabaret is going to get a plus 6 mag size. 6. Very interesting change there. The MP7 Swap Chain is getting a plus 50 RPM and plus 5% weapon damage. Not bad for the MP7. The T821 plus 10% weapon damage. The converted SMG9 plus 50 RPM. The Tommy Gun, Slayer, and Grown Great plus 10% weapon damage. Okay, interesting. And finally, for the SMGs, the Police UMP 45 plus 10% weapon damage. For the LMGs, we have the Iron Lung is getting a plus 10% weapon damage buff, and all other LMGs are getting a 20% weapon damage buff. Okay, very... Dude, and it goes on. This list is going, man. All right, so the rifles. ACR plus 10% weapon damage. The Ruthless and Merciless plus 10% weapon damage. The USC 45 ACP plus 10% weapon damage. UIC 15 Mod 2 plus 30% weapon damage. Whoosh. The M16A2, again, plus 30% weapon damage. The MDR Battle Rifle, plus 20 RPM and plus 10% weapon damage. The Resolute MK47 and the Harmony, plus 20% weapon damage. Military MK17 and the Everlasting Gaze, plus 25% weapon damage. And finally, for the rifles, the SIG 716, Artist Tool, and the Ravenous, plus 25% weapon damage. Whoosh. So the Ravenous is getting a nice buff. Wow, that's a really nice buff for the Ravenous. Holy crap. As far as the LMGs, I mean, even with this being done to all the other LMGs, the Iron Lung is still going to be right up there. But I am interested to see what the Pestilence is going to be like, even with diminishing returns with a 20% weapon damage buff. And then the Ravenous plus 25% weapon damage buff. That's another good one, too. All right, Marksman Rifles. We're almost done with the weapons. M700 Carbon and the Ekham's Long Stick plus 25% weapon damage and plus 8 optimal range. What? The Covert SRS Pinprick Mantis plus 30% weapon damage. Oh my god. These snipers are about to be top tier. Top tier snipers. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. SR1 and Designated Hitter 30% buff. Paratrooper Commando Dread Edict 15% buff. Tactical 308 and the Scalpel plus 8 optimal range and RPM. Wow. The Carbine 7 and the Stoner LAMG will no longer drop with its preset talent. So that means you can get the Carbine 7 or the Stoner LAMG with any talent to drop. That is huge. Speaking of huge, oh my god. Hold on. Opening a new tab. Whoa. Okay, let's talk about this one. Um Before I get to this, let's take a second to read this because dude, when I'm saying the game is going to change forever, like everything is changing. All right, let me like digest this for a second. All right. So, just doing like a quick scan, some of these are getting really big buffs while others are getting okay buffs. Like for example, right here with the Golan's getting a 10% total armor with a little bit more armor regen, where Heligard is getting the 5% total armor with 3% armor regen. I mean, some of these are going to blow our minds. All right, so 511, what is changing with 511? They are doubling the hazard for the three piece. That is still not going to get me to use 511. I'm sorry. The problem is the health, the one piece, and all you're doing is changing the three piece where the health is still going to be the big issue. All right, next we have Badger Tough. What is changing with Badger Tough? Well, we're getting more armor on kill. Did Badger Tough need that? No, not really. A lot of people only use the first two for the shotgun and the total armor, so I don't even see why. I mean, armor on kill is not a. Oh, man. That's really not something the masses will spec into. I mean, it is cool having it with Hunter's Fury and like the Gunner's specialization, but no one's really going to go out of their way to get more armor on kill. It's not something that, um, but then again, with the instant heals, I can see why that would. All right, I'm not going to put my sock in my mouth. We'll test that one. Next, Bellstone Armory. One armor regen, armor on kill, incoming repairs. What has changed? They doubled the incoming repairs. Again, no one's really using Bellstone Armory for the three piece. I typically only use it for the one piece. But, I mean, if I was doing an armor on kill build, I would use the two piece, but never the three piece. And incoming repairs is only really worthwhile when you're using something like the Catharsis mask, and I just don't see myself running Catharsis with three piece Bellstone. It's just not viable. Uh, Next, Brazos de Arquebus. What are they changing here? They increase the mag size to match the True Patriot. I mean, I thought that's what it should have been from the beginning, but this is a good change. That does help out for those mag size builds, so that's good. Now I'm going to be able to get my St. Elmo's engine to 125 bullets in the magazine. Oh, Heligard. What has changed? Well, they have doubled the health for Heligard and tripled the armor regen. Tripled. Holy crap. This is crazy. A 3% armor regen on Heligard will most definitely push me in using that. That makes that top tier immediately for tank builds, armor regen builds. I mean, you say it. Heligard automatically goes to the top. Yeah, that was a good one. Golden Gear. What's changing with Golden Gear? They are doubling the armor regen, and they are doubling the armor. So what I just said about Heligard, you can double that for Golden Gear. With the double armor regen and doubling that armor, that's a nice shoe in for a really fun build. I'm seeing so many different armor regen builds now. This is going to be so much fun. Oh my gosh. All right, Habsburg Guard. What are they changing? They are changing the status effects. Oh, they're doubling. They're doubling the status effects. Habsburg Guard. That's the headshot marksman rifle and its status. No, I mean, even doing that, I'm not ever going to use Habsburg for status. The headshot and the marksman is the only thing I use Habsburg for. Never for the status, so I'm not really a fan of that change. Lingmo, the newest Lingmo. What are they changing on this sucker? Oh, they are giving us 2.5 times more skill health because that's what we needed. And they are increasing our LMG damage by 5%, bringing it up all the way to 20. That Lingmo, wow, dude. Lingmo just got interesting. 20% LMG. Interesting. Again, I will never use Lingmo for the explosive resistance or the skill health. So both of those, in my opinion, are irrelevant. However, bringing that up to 20%, um, interesting. And then finally, we have Uzina Gattaca. What have they changed with Uzina? They have doubled the hazard. All right. Doubling the hazard on Uzina. We typically get the total armor from the one piece, which is amazing. The two piece giving us armor on kill, that's all right. No one really cares. But the hazard, interesting. I could definitely see that being utilized with like some sort of a ninja bike build, maybe. But again, the armor on kill is a niche attribute to spec into. So there are other gear sets and brand sets that could give you the same hazard, if not more, with a better two-piece bonus. All right. So that is it for that long one. Out of all of these changes, big ticket items to step away from. Okay. So big changes that I think everyone should look into would be the Brazos. Doing a Brazos True Patriot build is going to make this one even stronger now because you're going to be able to increase your magazine size up to 60% with True Patriot and Brazos. So that's going to be really crazy to see how high you could get some of those magazine sizes. The Heliguard is automatically going top tier with the Golem gear. Both of these are going to be top tier for any sort of tank builds. And that is really it, to be honest. So Brazos, Heliguard, and Golem Gear are my top 3 takeaways from this list. All right. Whew. This is a long, long list, my friends. All right, so we are in PVE. Let's scroll back down. Oh my gosh. The list. I feel like the list just got bigger. That's what she said. I know. Let's see here. So here's gear balancing. Oh my gosh, there's 2 more. All right, there's 2 more of these suckers. 2 more. So I'm going to go ahead and open that one up. And then I will go ahead and open this one up. Okay. All right. So next up, we have Alp Summit. So the Alp Summit, dude, everything is getting changed. Holy crap. Everything. All right, Alp Summit, we are getting more skill duration and more status effects. For Alp Summit, that wasn't really needed, but the skill duration is nice, especially for those healer builds. China Light is getting more skill haste and more status effects. That's not bad. It's all right. Electric is getting more SMG damage, 20%. Yeesh. That's dang, that's a good one. Empress is getting double the skill damage. Okay. Hanayu is getting double the skill damage and double the weapon damage. Ooh. Okay, Hanayu, I see you. Murakami is getting 10% more repair skills and 30% skill damage. Wow. I have never known anybody to ever run Murakami for the skill damage, so this might be the little nudge that people might need for that. Do like a skill damage repair skills like hybrid, maybe. That's very crazy for them to do. They tripled the skill damage there. Wow. All right, Richter and Kaiser, they more explosive resistance and then double the repair skills. Interesting. Why so much explosive resistance? Wow. I mean, this will push us into that 100%. We could easily hit 100% explosive resistance. That could work. Okay. Wyvern. They are increasing the status effects and doubling the skill duration. Skill duration doesn't really matter, but that status effects, that's not a bad change. Okay. Dude, there are so many changes. Holy crap. All right. So for Seska is getting 30% health instead of 10. That's not a big change. Douglas Harding is getting more weapon accuracy. That's not a big change. Fenris is getting 30% more weapon stability. Again, not a big change. Grupo is getting more explosives damage. Interesting. Huh. Petrov is getting more ammo capacity. Overlord Armament is getting more weapon handling. And finally, Walker Harris is now getting 10% damage to health. Ayo! So now we'll be able to make even more damage to health builds because that's the same amount that you get from the Hollow Man. So you could oh man, you could really get your health damage up now. As far as these changes, I mean, there's really not a lot of good ones. The Grupo isn't bad, and the Walker Harris. Those are your big takeaways. And then as far as that second one, these patch notes I feel like are taking forever. Oh, come on, Trello. Load up there, buddy. There we go. I'm going to have to click show more. Oh, here we go. Let's, I think it was the second one, right? So the big takeaways, not that one. There we go. So the big takeaways from this one would be the Empress. Doubling the skill damage is crazy for that one because that's already a top tier brand set. So doing that is making it even better. The Hana Yu is already pretty top tier for skill build, so that's good as well. Murakami, that's an interesting change. We'll see how that works with, like, say, maybe like a Ninja Bike build. But really, that's about it. I mean, Richter and Kaiser would be good with a Ninja Bike build, but there's really no other takeaways. So Empress, Hanyu, Murakami. Alrighty, show more. We are nearly done with the PVE changes. All right, game modes. What have they done to Descent? Descent. They have lowered the requirement heat necessary to reach the Nemesis. This will reduce the minimum loop at which players can encounter the Nemesis to 4 and the maximum to 9. They have decreased the reward requirements in Descent by 1 to 5 loops. Players will now receive more loot caches, rewards for completing the same amount of loops as before. They have added exotic and name caches within the TSA tech store. Ooh, nice. So we'll have to check that out. They added a talent pool rotation that is planned to change on a weekly basis. And these pools have different thematic and consist of 35 talents and 6 exotic talents each. Interesting. Okay. Others, they have fixed the issue with the Summit level 100 XP, which I believe they nerfed. Did they not? Whenever we were doing that XP farm way back in the day? So I'm interested to see what they did there. Maybe they reverted it back. That would be cool. Various stability improvements implemented in Countdown, Descent, and Summit. Good. Bug fixes. Here we go. Weapon and gear caches in the open world and missions were made to scale with the mission open world difficulties. There should be an increase in quality of gear and its stats now across the board, especially for challenging and heroic. Yep, we already knew that. Skill mods. This was a big one everyone kept talking about. Skill mods of a higher level than the player can no longer be equipped. Oh, okay, I see. So, say you're a level 30 and you're walking around with level 40 mods, you can't do that. Say you're a level 31, but you have a level 35 mod, you can't do that. Just things like that, skill mods, because there are level 30 and level 40 skill mods. The scope mod for the O'Carroll rifle can no longer be applied to any other weapon. I thought that was changed last year. Blueprints from the named sidearms for the specializations were dropping in reconstructed caches. This is no longer the case. I thought that was fixed already. Fixed a bug where most named gear piece blueprints gained from reconstructed caches did not require brand specific materials. Well, that sucks. That means that they just added the requirements. So now you do have to use the materials. The gift named bag was in the vest sections in the crafting. Well, that's a good fix. And finally, the blueprints for the Big Show and Fox's Prayer could not be found in the crafting station and are being acquired. They have now been added, so now you can craft your Fox's Prayer. That's good. For exploits, they fixed the corner glitch, so no more corner glitching. And they have fixed the exploit where people can be invited at the end of a raid to obtain raid specific keys without any participation. Oh, you know, you know that applies to the incursion. Oh man, that's a good one. They didn't even talk about that fix. They fixed an exploit where players could be invited at the end of a raid to obtain a raid key, and now they cannot. Oh, I'm wondering what the participation means. They have to start from the beginning? Who knows? All right, so that is all of your PVE patch notes. All right, so just a quick summary. I know this is going to be a long one. A quick summary. So the PTS has already started, and it ends 7 a.m. on Monday. So if you want, you can go to Ubisoft Connect right now and you can download the PTS. Just look up for the Division 2 PTS, and it is available for all PC players. It is free. You can download it and play this for the next 3 days. All right? Now, scrolling down really quick, remember the health cap is now level 2000. The open world boxes are now going to rock. We're going to have that new tinkering menu, but they said it's not going to be in the game right now, so I'm a little confused. We are going to test the instant heals. We are no longer allowed to swap any gear pieces while in combat. That's an interesting change for PvE players that I'm interested in trying out. The expertise costs, I don't care because I'm already maxed. The project changes were a very, very good and smart change. Very, very well done. Increasing the rewards all the way across the board. Great changes. Now, as far as the weapon balancing changes, we are going to have to test these out. Big ticket items that I want to test out, the rail splitter. I want to see what the new mag size looks like. The eagle bearer, I want to test that one out. As far as SMGs, big ticket ones to test out, the Banshee and the Grudge, that's a huge change. I want to test that one out. Actually, that's about it for SMGs. LMGs, I want to test out the other LMGs. I want to test out the Bullet King. For rifles, big weapons to test, I would probably just go to the Ravenous, to be honest. Out of all of these rifles, the Ravenous and the Harmony, these are two big rifles that needed those buffs. So that's going to be a good change. For the snipers, big ticket snipers to try out, the Eckham's long stick with optimal range and weapon damage. Yes, please. The Mantis with that weapon damage. The Dread Edict. I mean, those are definitely going to be big ticket things to go after. As far as gear to test out during this PTS, the big ticket items to test out would be the Heligard for that armor region and the Golem gear. Those would be two big ones to test out. As far as the next one, do Empress and Hana Yu are going to be fun to test out with skill builds. And then finally, down here at the bottom, we had Grupo and then the Walker Harris were two that would be really fun. As far as Descent, what I will do during this PTS is I'll do one run towards the Nemesis, and I'll show you what it's like, how fast it can be done, and what rewards we will get from it. So that's going to be fun to test out. I am also going to have to go up to Summit level 100 and see the changes there. It's just a skill, or it's just a XP change, so I want to see how much XP we're actually going to get. And as far as anything else to test out during this PTS, that's really about it. Okay. Now, again, this was all PvE. So now we're going over to the PvP portion. Now, the PvP portion shouldn't be as long, but we're still going to go through it. So if you were done with the PvE portion, just say thank you in chat, shout out where you're from, whatever. Just say, PvE player here. I appreciate it. And if you are a PvP player, well, I hope you have your popcorn ready. Here we go. So PvP improvements, starting with the Dark Zone. Our objective is to create a more distinct contrast between invaded and uninvaded Dark Zones, allowing players to customize the intensity of their gameplay experience. We anticipate that this approach will attract a larger player base to the Dark Zone. We'll see. All right. Starting with going rogue. Rogue status. Going rogue now has a 5-second activation time. Previous 0.75 seconds. Crazy. The first rogue rank time duration has now increased to 30 seconds instead of 20. And finally, players with the rogue status are now unable to switch loadouts or individual pieces while rogue. Do status effects. Oh my gosh. All right. The proposed changes focus on reducing the impact of status effects and introducing counterplays. The intention is to make status effects in PvP more manageable and provide players with additional options to counteract when under a status effect. The changes are primarily aimed at the PvP experience, but we will continue to monitor the PvE impact. Oh, taking a deep breath because these are going to be some crazy ones. All right, let's see here. Added diminishing returns to all status effects under 2 categories: crowd control status effects and damage over time status effects. Diminishing returns means that each subsequent application of the status effect of the same category will have a reduced duration until the full immunity is reached. Diminishing returns will not apply in PvE. First one up, the Plague of the Outcasts. Now this is the Pestilence. So the Pestilence is now affected by diminishing returns, which means that the stacks will be halved on each transfer. Damn. But those initial stacks, though. Status effects are removed if the effect source is killed after a short delay. So that means You can't burn someone, die, and then they die after from the burn. So if you die, whatever status effect you are putting on that enemy will go away. Immobilizing status effects. They have reduced the severity of immobilizing status effects. The ensnare or riot foam, players will receive a 10% damage reduction to incoming body shots when under ensnare. So go for the head. Pretty simple. What did Thanos say? You should have went for the head. All right. Shock. The player will have slower movement and is prevented from shooting while shocked. Ooh. Ooh. I used to just hip fire when I was shocked, but now, yeesh. Burning. While burning, roll in any direction to apply a bonus 10% burn damage reduction up to 30%. So rolling 3 times will max it out. What? That's pretty sick. While burning, just roll, and it'll take away some of that damage incoming. Bleeding. Not moving grants 10% bleed damage resistance for the duration. Oh, okay. So once you get on bleed, just stop moving, and you won't bleed as much. Huh. That's cool. Repair skills. All repair skills will now give you a 50% hazard protection bonus for 5 seconds. Only the first time the agent comes in contact with that skill. Yeah, but if you use 2 repair skills, know what I'm saying? Next up, we have Booster Hive. They have added poison to the list of the booster to combat the Scorpio. The boost duration now scales with the tiers. They have also increased the maximum range by 50%, and they have increased the drone speed for the Hive by 20%. Wow. Okay. Sticky EMP. The Sticky EMP, they have reduced the explosive damage in PvP. They have also lower skill tier players will not be able to apply disrupt to higher skill tier players. Damn. Just like the EMP jammer. Wow. So now it's not going to stagger or work against other ones, so you might as well just use your jammer pulse. Okay. Conflict changes. Now, I just finished all of the Dark Zone changes. And, well, a lot of these Dark Zone changes are still going to be in conflict, especially the status effects. But the main Dark Zone changes were just done to the rogue status for the non-invaded Dark Zones. Okay. Now let's move on to conflict. Our objective is to differentiate conflict from other PvP experiences by placing a stronger emphasis on shooting and item location rather. I think my recorder just went out or whatever. Oh, my computer wasn't plugged in. All right, that was stupid. Anyways, let's so basically what they're doing is they're making conflict more shiny, and people like shiny things. So they're making conflict more appealing. Therefore, they want more PvP people to go to it. And not only that, but they want all players to go to conflict. Thus, this first change right here. Shade and expertise will no longer be in conflict. All players joining conflict will now have their expertise and watch bonuses removed. Therefore, it doesn't matter what shade level you are, you'll have the same advantage as someone who's shade level 10,000. Moving on, for the spawn areas in conflict, they have now added turrets to all spawn points in conflict, preventing spawn camping. Loadout switching and individual gear pieces will only be allowed to be switched once per spawn. Once you are out of the spawn area, you will no longer be able to swap. Reward buffs. They have extended the loot pool for the rewards. The the dropped items are now of legendary difficulty quality, and the cache now gives you 2 items with a possibility for a third. That's sweet. XP increase. They have significantly boosted the XP to align with all other game modes. So now conflict will give you more XP. Talents. Yeah, but this is for PvP in general. Okay. This is going to be really confusing for people that are just reading this just right off the bat. Holy shit. There are so many changes. Okay. So I know the way that they laid this out is a little bad. Okay. So Dark Zone changes. The only Dark Zone changes is for the non-invaded Dark Zones, and it's all for these rogue statuses. Okay. Right after that, they should have said conflict. Because doing status effects, this is for all PvP. This is for Dark Zone and conflict. And then they went to conflict changes, which is very confusing. And now they're going to weapon and gear changes. Now, these weapon and gear changes are going to be for all PvP, whether it be Dark Zone or conflict. So it's a little confusing the way they laid this out, but good thing I'm here to help you out. So as far as conflict changes, they removed the shade and expertise. They added the turrets to the spawns. They removed it to where you can't keep changing your builds. And they increased the rewards and XP. Pretty simple. Okay. So here's the part everybody wants to know about. These are your PvP changes to all your weapon and gear talents. This is going to change the game forever. Okay. Starting with the good old Dr. Home. For the Dr. Home, it says that they have changed the proc condition to target headshot instead of target killed, which is really good, and that means we're going to get a lot more healing from the Dr. Home, especially if it only takes headshots to proc. That would be pretty sick. As far as the Actum S, this is for your St. Elmo's engine. I don't know why some of these they just say the talent, and some of them they say, we'll see. For the St. Elmo's engine, it shows that the shock bullets are now going to be 50% of your magazine and not 100%. So they're taking away half of the shock bullets for St. Elmo's engine. For future perfection, this is the talent where whenever you got a kill, you got a skill tier and you could overcharge. So it says that before it was you had a +1 skill tier for 19 seconds stacked up to 3 times. Now it is 15 seconds, so they lowered it. However, you can get more stacks. So now you can get 4 skill tiers. That's crazy. So if you're a skill tier, 2, you could overcharge. That's crazy. Now for the overcharge, it says weapon kills at skill tier 6 grant overcharge for 15 seconds, and that is still the same. With the cooldown 90, and that is still the same. Nice. So future perfection will now give you 4 skill tiers. Swift, which is on the Stinger. That's right, the Stinger, the named LMG. Okay. So it says for Swift, it is performing a cover-to-cover will now grant you 20% weapon damage for 20 seconds. That's just a duration increase. For Thunderstrike and Perfect Thunderstrike, let's see here, what are they doing? Yep, there it is. There's the change. There it is. I've been talking about this ever since the weapon came out, that for some reason they did not have this in the game, and now they do. So for Thunderstrike, after you kill 4 players, you will then shock your next enemy. And then for Perfect Thunderstrike, after 3 kills, you will apply shock to your next enemy. That's awesome. And they've also dramatically lowered the damage to shock targets. For the Bighorn, it used to be headshots will give you 2% headshot damage, stacking up to 50. Now it's headshots will grant you 4% weapon damage, stacking up to 25. So it's the same amount of stacks, you're just getting them twice as fast. Wow. The Bighorn just got a nice buff. Wow. Okay. Lady Death. Lady Death. Before, it was when moving, you grant 4 stacks per second or 8 while you're sprinting, max of 32. Now, it is when moving, 4 stacks per second, 8 while sprinting, max stack is equivalent to your magazine size. Wow. So if you have a really high magazine size for your Lady Death, you'll be able to have all of those bullets be amplified damage. That's huge. That's huge. Okay, for flatline changes. So before it was amplified your weapon damage by 15%. After 3 kills, applies a pulse. Now it's deals 15% weapon damage to pulse. After 4, applies pulse. So it's not amplifies damage, it's just deals more damage. And they increased it now to 4 kills instead of 3. Okay. Oh, and they moved that over to perfect flatline. All right. So they removed the amplified damage. Now it's just normal damage, and they increase the number of kills you have to get to pulse the enemy. Cool. Perfect preservation. Killing an enemy repaired 12% of your armor over 5 seconds. Headshots, another 12. Now it's 15% over 5 seconds and another 15% from headshots. Wow, dude. That's a nice increase, too, for perfect preservation. Wow. All right, gear talents and others, and then that's it. Okay, we are nearly done, everyone. Nearly done. So, for gear talents, this is what I wanted to see because none of this was talked about. So, Intimidate. Intimidate was 1 stack per second with a max of 7. Now it's 3 stacks per second to a max of 9. And each stack is increased by 4. What? That's 36% instead of. Okay. Perfect Intimidate. It used to be 1 stack per second, max of 8. Now it's 3 stacks per second, max of 10. And this one 4. Okay. Huh. I mean, so they just increase the amount of stacks you get per second with Intimidate. That's good. That's good. I like it. For the Foundry Bork, here we go. Foundry Bork. So, before it was 20% for 15 seconds. Now it's 25% for 10 seconds. Foundry got a big buff. Foundry got a really big buff. Look at that. Now it's 35 over 10. Oh, over 5. Look at that. So now if you run the Foundry backpack and chest piece, you can get 35% of incoming damage repaired over 5 seconds. That is huge. It used to be 30 over 10 seconds. Now it's 35 over 5 seconds. That is a big change for Foundry Bork. Foundry Bork just got a huge buff. All right, next we have Obliterate. Obliterate used to be 5 seconds. Now it's 10 seconds. Okay. So they doubled the duration of Obliterate. All right, that's good. Obliterate just got a big buff. And then for Unbreakable. PVP only. Oh, they lowered Unbreakable even more. Dang. All right, so normal Unbreakable will now only give you 40% in PvP, and Perfectly Unbreakable will now only give you 50% in PvP. All right. Oh, snap. Here's another big change. They did not talk about this. Oh, man. Uh, I really hope this is for PvP only. I really hope this is for PvP only. This says that the technician's linked laser pointer will now only pulse enemies for 6 seconds instead of 20. Ooh, that is a big, big change for PvP. Other fixes for PvP, they fixed the corner glitch. Yep. They fixed the hitbox. They fixed the True Patriot glitch. And they fixed the ladder glitch. Known issues. Talents: Breathe Free, Thunderstrike, Perfect Thunderstrike. The descriptions have not been updated, but their functionalities will reflect the ones from the patch notes. The Ravenous only has a 10% increase instead of 25 right now. Petrov, Iron Lung is not buffed. Blue Screen is not buffed. Murakami is not. And Walker Harris. Okay. So those are known things that I will not try out during this PTS. Got it. And that is it, everyone. That was a lot of patch notes. Like I said, this will change the game forever in both PvE and PvP. But now I'm going to leave you with that, and I'm going to go try to test some things out and get my next few videos ready. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know the biggest changes, well, the biggest three. Give me your top 3 changes from these patch notes, and we'll talk about them. All right? Take care now. Bye-bye then. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care of yourself. I am Kamikazevondoom. Peace out.